Hey guys, this is Ruth at Extraordinary Farm, and this video is on prevention for frostbite and to how to deal with extreme cold temps right now. So the number one thing about trying to prevent frostbite and to help your birds survive the winter is proper ventilation in your coop or barn or your situation. Ventilation is a tricky subject for a lot of people because they don't really understand how it works, but you need a flow inside the coop. You don't want a draft, you don't want a wind, but it's just a gentle motion which happens naturally as warm air moves up, cold air sinks, but you want that enough motion for it to kind of mix and move out. So you want ventilation up high and ventilation down low. The next is to start removing any moisture causing sources and manures, especially if you don't heat your coop but you have a well insulated coop. I know a lot of people put insulation on the inside and use the natural body heat from their birds to help keep it warmer. I'm not for that. I think it actually causes more problems about putting insulation in, but that's my personal opinion. So we don't do that. I don't do that here at the farm. I just have a basic board structure for my coop, and there is no insulation, and it's all, sometimes you can see into the cracks, so the air movement is all natural and the wind is still blocked. But around water containers, those need to be cleaned up all the time. You need to keep a dry environment, which will help a lot with preventing frostbite and or cold illnesses. Also, the other thing with your waterers, especially during extreme temperatures, they need to restrict how much the wattles get into the water, or chickens can get water on them or fall in. I know a lot of people use open buckets in the winter with a stock tank heater inside to keep their water thawed out and accessible to everybody. I highly suggest putting like a board or something across that so that they can't get in, especially with waterfowl. I actually take a board and then I put a cement block on top so they cannot knock that board off, or even a bungee cord over the container to keep that board in place so they can't get in and bathe. I don't allow my waterfowl at all during this extreme temperatures to bathe at all. And so like tomorrow we'll be back up to 15 to 20 degrees during the daytime, and so they'll be allowed to bathe in the afternoon when it's at its warmest. Make sure your roosts are flat so that when the birds sit down on their feet, they can tuck them up underneath them to keep their feet warm. This will help a lot for prevention for frostbitten toes and loss of toenails and even loss of limbs. Providing some sort of barrier protection. Yesterday I put out that video about putting our salves on, but you can use Bag Balm and you can use Vaseline. There is some sort of conversation going on right now about how some people don't think it works and other people do. Here is kind of the working theory for it. When you apply a very thick layer of salves or Bag Balm or Vaseline, it prevents more moisture from getting to the comb. And so that's the kind of the theory about how that works. Once you start doing that, you have to keep applying. You can't just apply once and then leave it be. But I talked about that in the other video. Please don't put heat in there, especially if you've not heated so far up until this point and you haven't put a heat lamp in there. And if it's to the extreme where you really do have to put it in there, you only want to heat your barn up enough to like maybe 5 degrees above the temperature. You never want to get it up above freezing, especially when you just want to raise it up enough so that it's comfortable for the birds. It may not be comfortable for you, but it's comfortable for them. They are pretty hardy. They can deal with minus 25 degree weather like we've been having at night in some areas. So it's really important not to go too much higher, because then you start getting into a whole nother area of problems. Another thing is to allow the birds to have free access. Don't keep them cooped up. Not just because of you know, it's not that it's a bad thing, but however, when they leave the coop, it airs it out, and then they get out into other places. If you provide little protection areas outdoors that they can get in and be out, and that will help a lot with them to dry out their skins and stuff to keep it in tip-top shape. Plus, also, it's really good to get out in the sun anyways, especially on cold days. I mean, it just helps boost morale. Providing warm water, never hot, but warm, and warm food will also help and go a long way. And I think the last thing is just to use common sense during this time. Don't do anything that you know that potentially could jeopardize your birds, you know, or make their situation far more uncomfortable than it has to be. I mean, it's pretty tough as it is being a bird out in our New England weather. I just don't think my interfering and making it worse for them is you know, good. So I hope these videos kind of help everybody you know, make it through our cold temps. We'll have a couple days that'll warm up here soon, and then we're going right back into another cold snap. So I enjoy hearing from everybody. Ask away questions. I have no problems with everybody putting questions on the Facebook page or dropping me an email. So stay warm, everyone.